I don't think I can use this audio for the podcast. I'm in my truck. It's storming out. I can barely hear myself think, but I don't want to lose this thought. I love my boat. I love Capella. She's a healer. I love her story, and I will, over time, tell what I know of her story. I don't know where she's been. I don't know where she wants to go. I know that her sails take the shape of the wind. The wind welcomes her to new shores. I listen to her, and I ask her where she wants to go.
She shrugs her shoulders and looks back at me and asks me the same question in return. She wants to bring me to ports I've never visited. She wants me to meet people I don't know I can't live without yet. She wants to reunite me with an old friend that I'm absolutely dying to see. Capella's a healer. Her story is incredible. Her story's not over. I'm part of it now. I take care of her and she takes care of me. She's still teaching me how to sail and how to handle a boat. And I just can't imagine having any other vessel for my first voyage. Thanks for tuning in to Sailing Capella. Now, I don't want to talk about sailing this week. I want to tell stories. If you want to hear somebody spill sailor jargon and give you how-to lessons and all that kind of stuff, there's got to be 150,000 other podcasts out there of people doing that. This is my journal. This is my voyage. This is my boat. And this is whatever I want it to be. Of course, I want it to be enjoyable as well. Last year, when I got home from work, around the end of August, I was tired, but I was antsy. I couldn't wait to get out again. So I went on a job hunt, found myself a 90-day contract in Poland. A lot of the jobs I get are really boring. They always seem like they're going to be interesting when you get into it. Missile defense, Navy base, perimeter security, all that kind of garbage. Now, really it ends up being a lot of hide and go seek. Don't get caught with your hands in your pocket, but we don't know what to tell you how to do. Have fun spending government money on absolutely nothing. Swoopsk was a fine place to live. It was cold. I didn't want to be there longer than 90 days, but I was happy to be in Europe. I always wanted to have a job over there. And about halfway through the contract, I decided that after I got out of there, I wanted to have myself a vacation and run an ultra race. I got into ultra racing a few years ago. My first race was a 50K in Antarctica at McMurdo Station. After that, did not complete, but attempted 100 miles in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, another 100-miler at Robbers Cave, Oklahoma, and I didn't complete that one either. I don't say that apologetically. If you want to make fun of me, tell me all about the 100-mile races you finished first. Otherwise, go fuck yourself. I found a few races in Southeast Asia that fit the timeline and settled on one in Thailand on Koh Chang. I don't know how to train for an ultra. I just know how I train for an ultra. Ramped up my running program a little bit, but my longest run was probably about 25 kilometers. Ultra running is problem solving. Training is just part of it. I had been training in a very cold country. Prior to that, I was working in Alaska. When I arrived in Bangkok, the moment I stepped off the plane, I broke out into a sweat, and it never stopped. I knew heat was going to be a problem during this race. That's just part of the problem solving. After being there a few days, I found out that the race on Koh Chang had been canceled. I wasn't too worried about it. Honestly, a smidge relieved because I had a plan B, and this would allow me a little bit more time to acclimatize before I ran my backup race. If I told every detail of this story, it would take an hour, and we don't have an hour. Well, I do, but you probably don't. The race I chose was in Siem Reap, Cambodia, running around a bunch of temples and Angkor Wat and Elephant Terrace and rice paddies, and I was really excited about this one. I showed up to run the race at 3:30 a.m. It started at 4, hoping to get some nutrition, and there was no food there. We had paid probably close to or maybe a little over $300 for this race, and there was no mention of having to provide your own food. Now, to be fair, sometimes when I think I've been wronged or somebody else is at fault, the truth of the matter is I didn't look around. I didn't see something. I didn't read a sign. I didn't ask the right question. So maybe there was food at the start of the race, but I didn't see it, and I was hungry. An hour into the race, I would have punched a baby for a peanut butter and jelly burrito. I would have knocked down an old lady for an hour-old floppy cold quesadilla. But instead, I got handed bananas and oranges at every single refuel station for the first couple hours of the race. Here's the thing. Fruit is not food. I needed carbohydrates. I needed sugar. I did not need more bananas. I probably ate more bananas than I had in my entire life. 1,000 of these little thumb-sized weird things that, in all honesty, probably added up to 10 normal Cavendish bananas. Eventually, we did get handed some kind of normal food, cup of noodle with meatball type of thing it was really good, but it wasn't enough. Some hard-boiled eggs. Heat was a problem. The biggest struggle I had during the race was in the middle of it, running through rice paddies around high noon. I got pretty exhausted and cooked, started getting sick to my stomach. I felt like I was going to puke and shit at the same time. You don't quit, you sit. So I sat down, gave myself about a half hour to recuperate. I really don't know how much time passed. People walked by and offered to help, but what are they really going to do? Just don't talk to me. Thank you for the good sentiments. Mind your own race and keep going. Of course, I don't say these things out loud. I was willing to sit there until I got disqualified. It didn't take nearly that long. I got back on my feet. Only a few kilometers later, there was a refuel watering station, so I filled up my water packs and grabbed another handful of those stupid little bananas and kept going. The race course itself was bizarre and awesome. We ran down roads, through villages, through rice paddies. I ran through 2 wedding parties, countless backyards, laundry hanging, tight jungle where the brush was just, scraping at your clothes. But it was a sunny, beautiful day. And once I got over the heat issue, it really never happened again. I just stayed hydrated and kept running. One of my biggest issues during these races is not my legs getting tired. It's my right shoulder blade tweaking out. And whenever I carry a backpack of any size, whether it's, I think about a 20 kilo pack that I took on the Camino de Santiago, or I'm not a backpacker, but my suitcase is a backpack, so I travel with one. My running pack is more of a small, corseted, it wouldn't matter if that thing was filled with helium balloons, my shoulder's gonna tweak out. It's a guarantee. And it was. I wasn't gonna quit the race because of it, but it gets really overwhelming, and all I can think about is the pain in my shoulder blade. There might be a blessing in there. If my legs do hurt, or my feet hurt, and they always do, it's not my focus. I'm completely wrapped up in my back pain. And that had started. There was a rest area at about 64 kilometers where they had a massage booth where these little teenage Cambodian girls were crawling on top of runners and, punching them in the back or wherever, the legs, until they felt better. And it did help. It did work. Just about 5 minutes of that. I cleared it up. There was actual real sit-down plate full of noodle food at that stop. I felt great after it. The shoulder pain was not gone, but relieved. And I had a real plate of food to eat. So I was ready to finish the race. I only had 36 kilometers to go. Just under the equivalent of like a normal marathon, and that really wasn't going to be a problem. Of all the things I saw and did during this race, the thing that stuck with me the most was about an hour before the end of the race. It was already after sunset. I was getting pretty tired. I'd run through a lot of sand. My shoes were full of sand, and it was really getting painful, but I was still moving pretty fast. I was going to make the cutoff, maybe by a few hours. The intensity had worn down. I had my headlamps out. I could see just fine. I didn't see many other runners. I saw these 2 girls in front of me running kind of single file. And one of them, the tall girl, had a white running skirt on. As I got closer, the girl bringing up the rear turned around, shined her headlamp right in my face. And just before it blinded me, I could see that the girl in the white running skirt had shit herself. Back of her pants were all brown, and I just thought, oh, well, I knew what the girl bringing up the rear was doing. She was covering her trail. And so I didn't make eye contact. I didn't say anything. I just kept on running and passed them. I am sure that girl will never wear white to an ultra race ever again. I've heard stories of people shitting themselves during races or after races, and there was some famous incident back in the 80s or 90s. I think it was with a woman finishing an Ironman or something to that nature, got caught on camera totally crapping her leg before she crossed the finish line. I get asked a lot, are you afraid of pooping your pants? No, not really. I guess it could happen, and there's definitely been, there's been times during these races where you get a little uneasy, especially after you've eaten 1.5 million bananas and had nothing with any real substance to it. I always have a plan. And I also always have Charmin in my backpack. And I don't just mean my running backpack. I have it in all my backpacks. I have it in the center console of my truck. I have it in my office at work. You just have to be ready for, shit to happen. And I've gotten really good at using my trekking poles to balance over a ditch. Should I need to? Maybe I've done that once before. We'll just leave that up in the air. I did finish the race, and I was definitely delirious, and I was definitely in quite a bit of pain, but this is why we do it. I took a tuk-tuk back to the hotel. It was a beautifully cool evening or night, or it was midnight, a beautifully cool midnight. And the ride was exactly what I needed with the wind in my face. Here's the thing about tuk-tuk drivers in Cambodia, at least this is my experience. They ask me where I want to go. I tell them. And once I'm in the tuk-tuk on the way, they ask me again and ask me for directions. And they have no idea how to get there. I don't know what it was about the hotel that I booked. Nobody could find it. They always said they knew where it was, but once I'm in the cab, not a clue. Here I am, just finished 100K, completely out of my mind, hungry as fuck. I just would have killed for a baguette. I mean, the race organizers were French. You think they would have brought a few baguettes, but they didn't. I'm trying to give directions to a hotel in Siem Reap where I can't even pronounce the street names. I don't even know if there are street names. He found it. I spent probably another week in Cambodia because I mismanaged my visa preparations for Vietnam, had to rebook a few flights, and also my feet were not working for a few days. I did walk around and tour a little and keep moving, but it really made it hard to do things. But I completed my 100-kilometer race in Southeast Asia. I've still got quite a few continents to go, but I'm not in a hurry. I'm just going to run where I want to run. I've already knocked out the one continent that most people have a hard time getting, Antarctica. So there's really no pressure, and if there was, it'd be pressure I put myself under, which is most of the pressure I experience in my life. That's my story of running in Cambodia. There's no plot or grand finale. I don't suppose there ever is to anything. I just do things, go places, come up with ideas, and then I suppose one day everything just kind of comes to an end, and maybe I've left something behind to show for it. In an infinite universe, I'm not sure it matters, but it really does matter to me. I spent a little bit more time in Southeast Asia, went back to Thailand, saw a few more things. At some point I flew home, and I'd say that I relaxed for about a month and a half before I went back to my summer job, but relaxing is not something I really know how to do. I'm either asleep or I'm awake and doing things. I'm sitting on the couch right now doing this. And this is an activity. I suppose I'll give you updates about the boat if anybody's interested. I took her sailing this week, and that's the footage you're looking at while you listen to this. The sail went well. The wind was in our favor. It did change directions a lot because we're in the bay, and bay sailing is not my favorite thing, but it's still a privilege and absolutely wonderful. We ran aground about 3 times. By we, I mean I ran aground a couple times, and Missy ran aground once. I wasn't concerned about it. If I really cared that much, I never would have let go of the helm. But the helm is my least favorite place to be on the boat, and the first thing I will give away when I have crew. The only concern that I have is one of the times we ran aground, the wind caught the bow of the boat, spun it around, and the rudder got hung up on the sand. I immediately flew the jib and we pulled out of it. So this week I'm going to inspect the rudder, either stick my GoPro under there or dive down, and I'm also having a sputtering problem with the engine. I'm not versed with diesels, but I'm learning, and it appears to be sucking air, so I'm kind of talking to people who know better than me and troubleshooting and bleeding air. Today I'm going to go replace a fuel line. I've named my engine Ziggy because I feel like it is an independent entity from Capella. Capella cooperates. Capella works with me. Ziggy's a pain in my ass. Me and Ziggy are going to have a talk today. I feel like once I get that problem solved and make sure that the rudder's still in good shape, a few other little knickknacks, and I'm ready to go. There's a couple of timeline concerns that are once again me fucking with myself. A friend of mine's birthday is in January, and I want to leave now. I want to set sail. I'm dying to do this. I would hate to miss her birthday, but I can't quite figure out how to get to the party. It's just kind of obscure, a costly plane ticket. So there I go, putting pressure on myself again. Maybe I'll just call up and invite her to crew. I'm open to taking someone with me, but there's really only about 2 to 3 people in the world that I would take. I don't want a liability. I want somebody that I know when Ziggy starts acting up, or the bilge fails, or the autopilot fails, will get in my tool bag with me and not just help me, but maybe take the lead and solve the problem with my help. Otherwise, I can do this alone. If I'm not going to have help, if I'm going to have to take care of somebody else and do all the sailing and do all the fixing, I might as well single hand. But I do this thing where I think of who I want to invite and I answer for them. So I never ask or I question my own motives. I don't want to get into it, even though I just kind of did. So thanks for tuning in this week. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I'll drop another one next Sunday. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell or whatever it is they say. Have a good week.